What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Dillian, the body snatcher, Whyte. Dillian Whyte believes that Anthony Joshua will never be the same fighter. Of course, we know back in 2018, the undefeated, unified British heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua, was upset and dropped 4 times by Andy Ruiz. And of course, Joshua got revenge back in December when he traveled to Saudi Arabia to dominate for 12 rounds in a rematch. But in the rematch, Joshua was not his usual self, usual aggressive self. Instead, against an out-of-shape Ruiz, Joshua decided to use his legs and the jab to create as much distance as possible to outbox Ruiz for 12 rounds, every round. Whyte believes the most recent version of Joshua is here to stay, based on historical changes that other big heavyweights have made, like Lennox Lewis and Vladimir Klitschko. Both suffered unexpected knockout defeats, and each boxer revamped their style to avoid the same occurrence in the future. We've seen this before. Lennox Lewis was an aggressive fighter on the front foot, but got knocked out by Hasim Rahman, then changed his style, Whyte told Sky Sports. People forget Vladimir Klitschko was one of the big and most aggressive heavyweights for a long time, but he got done by Ross Purity, Corey Sanders, and Lamont Brewster, then changed his style. Joshua will be the same. Tall heavyweights start their careers very aggressively, but then even Deontay Wilder, when he was clocked a couple times by Luis Ortiz, thought, I'm just going to wait. We have seen this time and time again, and it's always been the same. Let's go farther back. Joshua's fight against Carlos Takam, Alexander Povetkin, Joseph Parker. There were signs of caginess and not liking getting hit. So, Dillian Whyte is implying that Anthony Joshua won't be the same fighter due to the trauma, due to the defeat that he sustained. And he's not the only one that thinks that way, because let me add this side note. Tyson Fury said something very interesting a couple days ago, Monday, in the press conference, after the press conference. He said that Anthony Joshua has to prove himself. Okay? So, according to Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua should be on the redemption list, right? He gave no regards to the rematch, even though he said he boxed well. He used the same rhetoric that Deontay Wilder used as him running around the ring and boxing a chubby fat guy. Well, that's how Tyson Fury used it. But he's pretty much, Tyson Fury pretty much co-signing the idea that Joshua has to prove himself, and then Whyte thinks he will never be the same. Look, first of all, Lennox Lewis, that's not really a good example, because Lennox Lewis, I never seen him, if anything, I've seen him make adjustments. You know, Vladimir Klitschko, same thing. Deontay Wilder, he's always been a certain type of fighter, but he has changed. So there may be some truth with Deontay Wilder, but what that means, Dillian Whyte's basically saying that all these fighters that he mentioned, Vladimir Klitschko, Lennox Lewis, Anthony Joshua, and Deontay Wilder, have changed their styles due to experiences they had in the ring. There's nothing wrong with that. If anything, that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. So when him saying that he'll never be the same fighter, he's talking about the aggressiveness, meaning that Joshua will always fight like he fought Andy Ruiz, which I don't believe. But we don't know until the next fight. However, the way Anthony Joshua was talking in regards to Deontay Wilder, saying he won't be in there in round 7 when I fight Deontay Wilder, meaning he's going to take it to Deontay Wilder and knock him out. That doesn't sound like somebody that's going to box for 12 rounds. So what Whyte's saying, or what he believes, versus on what Anthony Joshua said, contradicts what Dillian Whyte thinks about Anthony Joshua not being the same fighter. The truth of the matter is we have to see if Anthony Joshua is the same fighter, because people have mentioned that before. Is he this kind of timid fighter now? Does he like getting hit? I don't think Anthony Joshua liked getting hit. Neither did Oscar De La Hoya. But Oscar De La Hoya was a person that never got stopped or dropped by getting hit in the face. He got knocked out to the body by Hopkins. He stopped. He stopped on the stool against Manny Pacquiao. But he was a guy that didn't like to get hit. So there's a lot of people that don't like to get hit. The only difference is Whyte has had his first defeat. He's beat Anthony Joshua in the amateurs. Anthony Joshua knocked him out 4 years ago in the pros for the British title. Okay. And he thinks that Joshua joins the line of those guys that will never be the same type fighter. But I don't really see the significance in being the same fighter. If he wanted to add to that, add Marco Antonio Barrera. Marco Antonio Barrera used to come in every fight thinking he was invincible until he was knocked out by Junior Jones. Okay, Junior Jones knocked him out cold. The second fight, I think it was a lot closer. It went 12 rounds, but he learned defense. Okay, if he didn't learn defense, he would have never beat Prince Asim Ahmed. That's somebody that have been through an experience, learned from the experience of that loss that they suffered, went back to the drawing board and became a different fighter. If that's what he means by Anthony Joshua, so be it. If he means that by Deontay Wilder, so be it. If he means that by Lennox Lewis and Vladimir Klitschko both alike, so be it. That means the experiences they've learned from the loss that made them better fighters. That's what it means to me. So I know what he's trying to say. He's trying to say that Joshua has lost his fire. Of course, we won't really know that until he goes in there and fights a guy that he's supposed to engage in, and he doesn't, and he fights like that. Then maybe Dillian Whyte will have a point. But until then, Joshua just showed that he can improve, he can change, and he did things that he didn't supposed to do. Let's be honest. Nobody thought that, and I can't say nobody, because I thought that Joshua could beat Ruiz, because I called it. But a lot of people thought that Anthony Joshua would be beaten again by Andy Ruiz because Andy Ruiz was just so good. As far as Vladimir Klitschko, Lennox Lewis, okay, they made their adjustments and they got their revenge. Okay, they did what they supposed to do. He stopped Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson tried the aggressive side-to-side movement on Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis made him pay. Lennox Lewis took it to him. So that's really not a good example, honestly. Lennox Lewis, more like Vladimir Klitschko, but even Vladimir Klitschko still was knocking people out. Look at his knockout ratio. Okay, so Dillian Whyte, I think he does speak his mind. That's Dillian Whyte. He's not going to, he's not going to bow down or whatever. That's how he thinks. That's how he thinks. But it just shows you the mentality of fighters. And let me explain. Dillian Whyte already lost, and he's still aggressive. So the bad thing about it, he's still this come-forward fighter that's going to rough you up. That's a good and bad thing. It's good because, it's exciting. You're a guy that goes balls to the wall. You attack at will, and you like to trade punches and things of that nature. That's a good thing. But why is it a bad thing? The bad thing is the same shit could happen to you. It happened to you 4 years ago against Joshua when you're going up against a puncher, And it could imply that you haven't learned anything, But, Dillian Whyte has the same kind of temperament as someone like Derek Chisora. That's why those guys are such fan favorites. That's why they fill the seats, sell the tickets. They are who they are. However, they may never be guys like Joshua, Vladimir Klitschko, Deontay Wilder, or Lennox Lewis, because when they lose, they just lost and they will never be able to recoup. They only know one way. We can look at it that way. They're one-dimensional. Hey, you win some, you lose some. Look at Derek Chisora. He has that same type of mentality. If he lost, he lost, but he's not going to switch up his style, which is not good. That means you're limited in what you can practice and change on. So that means if somebody can beat you, the only way you can beat them is a puncher's chance. And that's really not good. That's not good at the end of the day. That means you can't change. You can't evolve into the fighter that can make adjustments to overcome a defeat by a particular fighter, like Joshua did, like Lewis did, like Vladimir did. So it's really not a good thing. The pros and cons, there'll be a certain type of fighter, but they'll never be the type of fighter that he's criticizing, or fighters that he's criticizing. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Dillian Whyte's belief that Anthony Joshua will never be the same. Let me know in the comments, will he ever be the same, or will he remain just a boxer mover? You guys tell me, of course. Please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.